Here at the Brave New Teaching Podcast, we are always looking for the newest, most engaging, and fantastic books for you, the teachers, to step up your game and enhance your practice. And we have a brand new book recommendation for you that we just couldn't wait for an entire episode to share. If you are looking for a professional development book that's going to serve you over this winter break, or maybe even as a gift to a fellow educator, we have got your next recommendation. You need to check out Roll Call by Dr. Jenna Copper. As you know, Dr. Jenna Copper is one of the greatest friends we have over here at the podcast. You have downloaded her interview with Marie almost more than any other episode. So I know that a lot of you have heard Jenna and her work and what she's up to. So not only should you listen to that episode, but you need to check out Jenna's brand new book. This book is phenomenal. And as you know, Dr. Copper is an education professor and former English teacher. So she's in everything from teaching students to teaching teachers. And she has written the ultimate guide to creating lessons that will really and truly captivate your students while still meeting those all-important standards. This book, Roll Call, is packed with practical strategies and innovative ideas that will transform your classroom. And for a very special bonus time, Jenna is offering an exclusive perspective plan toolkit absolutely free when you purchase Roll Call. It's going to be so awesome, and you are going to love all of the new ideas that you get. You can buy Jenna's book right now on Amazon. So head over to Amazon.com. Find your copy of Roll Call, and then once you have your order, you're going to go to rollcallbonus.com. That's ROLECALLBONUS.com, Roll Call Bonus, or head to today's show notes and claim your free perspective plan toolkit. It's a freebie right now when she's launching her book for the very first time. It's not going to linger around for very long. Your students will thank you, and you're going to thank you, because this is going to make you feel good about teaching and really amp up your energy. We're so excited for you to read it yourselves and let us know what you think. Talk to you soon and enjoy the show.
Well, hello and welcome back to Brave New Teaching. Hello, Amanda.
Oh, hey, everyone. Hi, Marie.
Hello. We are at, what is this? Episode 4 in our series on novels in verse. If you have missed the other 3 chapters of this collection, you probably want to go and give them a little listen, because it's going to be some context that we are not about to provide, because we're about to just jump straight in here talking about a novels in verse unit, specifically looking at Elizabeth Acevedo's The Poet X. And today we're talking about supplemental texts and like alternative ideas for text that you can be using to go along with this unit. We talked about essential questions already. We talked about gateway activity. We talked about just how and why to do a novels in verse unit. And now we're ready to get into my favorite part.
Yes. So now more so than ever, if you are a new listener, you need to actually start with the show notes so that you can get full context of not only this collection of episodes, but just kind of how we do things here at the podcast. I would make that your first stop. I would go to the show notes, kind of see what's going on, orient yourself, and if you know what's up, then you're ready. We're jumping in. This is not a broad strokes kind of an episode. This is
no. I mean, it's one of those things one of the things in a teaching credential program that really grinds my gears is when there's assumption that prospective teachers, prospective educators know what somebody's talking about, right? So I will never forget being in my teacher credential program and hearing all of these things about dealing with IEPs and student accommodations, and never actually being taught how to handle an IEP meeting, never actually being taught how and what these things are that we're talking about. And so that to us here at Brave New Teaching is very important, that you understand the context of what we're talking about. So it's there, it's available. And right now though, we're digging straight in.
Yeah, Marina, we know ourselves, and we know you too. We definitely have episodes that are bigger and brainstormier, but these ones are the action steps, and we're ready to talk about supplemental texts for this amazing unit you're going to be writing.
Yes, we are. Okay, friends, before anything else though, you know what we have to do. Cue the music.
You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a high school teacher from Southern California.
Join us after the show and happy hour to extend your VNT experience with instant access to our resources, workshops, and courses.
Visit shop.bravenewteaching.com/happy hour to join us today. We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show. Okay, so as we were putting together this unit makeover, which again, I know we've said it in the other chapters, the other episodes of this collection. If you are a member of Happy Hour already, you already have access to like a whole slide deck that's even more in depth of this unit makeover. If you would like to become a member of Happy Hour, go to the show notes because we would love to have you in our little clubby club. We are taking the vein, I guess, in this unit makeover. We had like two possibilities and we split into skills or theme, and we're going down the theme train track here. And the supplemental texts that we are looking at all have to do with a theme of telling one's story. Do you want to remind everybody of what that essential question is, Amanda?
Yes. So the EQ that we are grounding our work in is, which is more important, knowing your story or telling it?
Yes. And so when we were looking at supplemental texts, 4 themes within that overarching question, 4 smaller like themes or motifs really stood out. And those are communication, identity, fear versus bravery is like lumped into one, and then love. Love means so many things. That's why you know it's a good sub theme for this.
Well, and those came directly from Poet X. So when we're thinking about like not only the essential question, but we're kind of listing out these core themes, we are deriving those from the core text of the unit. So if yours is different, you might have slightly different themes, but these are, I mean, theme is universal to begin with, but I feel like a lot of novels in verse are, especially the YA ones, are kind of in this same identity crisis, coming of age. A lot of them follow the same arc. But we know that Xiomara, for sure, when she's trying to figure out her story, these are the things that either prevent her or she learns how to do them better. And they all kind of become these pieces that help her be able to walk in and own that story. They are requirements. So for me, those themes are also not just themes, but they are devices that I want the kids to see as, or tools rather, right? The things that the person actually experiences in order for change to occur.
Yes. And I love to look at something really specific, like this main character of Xiomara, in conjunction with, juxtaposed with, paralleled with, whatever, other characters. And sometimes those characters are fictional and sometimes those characters are real people. I have 4 types of supplementals in this little list that I think, and Amanda thinks, I'm just going to speak for both of us, will lend themselves very well to the Poet X and going in conjunction with, and with our essential question about telling one's own story, knowing it or telling it. So the 4 types of text that we have are poetry, but not just poetry, epic poetry, or collections of poetry. We've got music, but not just a song. We've got a full album that we would be looking at. Musical theater, which comes as a shock to nobody.
No one.
I said this in an earlier episode in this collection. Any single musical theater song will show you so much about story and plot. Oh, in the Gateway Activity episode. And so any individual songs, but then also a whole album of like a whole soundtrack to a musical would be great. But I have 2 specific songs. And then also monologues, like really character driven monologues, soliloquies are perfect for looking at knowing one story versus telling one story. And that's actually where I'm going to start, is with the monologue.
So before Marie starts, let me just give some structural pieces to the puzzle.
Yes.
So Marie, I don't even know what Marie is going to share. I'm so excited to hear it. For those of you who are thinking and like looking at your curriculum maps and your unit maps specifically for this one, when you're looking at your supplementals and you're listening to Marie's ideas, I want you to be thinking about the purpose you need your supplements to serve, right? Like just like we thought about this with when you were choosing your essential question, your supplements are a critical place. And I actually kind of want to start calling them something not so secondary as
I
supplements.
know, right?
They're
Yeah.
so important. And I think that your supplements are going to, again, be filling a hole. Like, what do you need? Like, what voices are missing? What genres are missing? What types of stories are missing from your overall year? Or if your particular whole class text is really kind of nuanced, what are some of the other perspectives that are missing from properly answering this essential question? So you might think about this, like, again, if you're thinking genre wise, it's because you're wanting to broaden the experience for students. We've got a novel and verse, but we've also got music, musical theater, all these other things. Or are you more concerned about like the themes themselves and what's
Mhm.
missing from answering the essential question? So keep that in mind as you hear Marie's idea, because that will help you decide which weeks and in which order you're going to put your own supplementals together for this unit.
So, yes, all of these supplementals have so much to do with first and foremost knowing one's own story and then telling it and deciding which way it's going to be told or communicated. So that's kind of like the overarching of all of these supplementals in this list. The first in this list is one that has been used quite a bit. We've even talked about it already on the past, but it's America Ferrera's monologue from the Barbie movie. And the reason that I use this one is because it's easy to access. Students are pretty aware of it by now because it's all over social media. It's a lot of places because the Barbie movie is not in any way new anymore. And it's easy to access on YouTube. But that monologue, any monologue like it, the purpose of a monologue or a soliloquy, which is just a monologue where nobody's around to hear it, like if a tree falls in the woods, is to lead us through a character's moments of self-discovery. It is the truest form of talking to yourself in order to figure out how you feel about something, right? That is how screenwriters and playwrights use the monologue. And so that's why a monologue is a great way to talk about, is it more important to know one story or to tell it? Then this takes us into a couple of examples of like a song that serves as a monologue, basically. Legally Blonde, the musical. Amanda, are you like super familiar with Legally Blonde? I feel like you're not.
I
feel
am,
like
I am now because you sent me all those YouTube videos.
because
I educated myself.
all I do is talk about it because I'm going to be producing it. Like I'm starting it right now in my school. The title song, Legally Blonde, is Elle's coming to terms with who she is and who she isn't and who she wants to be, but who she doesn't want to be. Like it's all of these intersecting parts of her identity. That's a great place to look at knowing one's story and telling one's own story. So Legally Blonde, the song from Legally Blonde the musical. Another one that's exactly like that. In fact, they're both placed in the same spot in their respective musicals, which is it's the Act One closer. Wicked, Defying Gravity, the Act One closer, is talk about self-discovery, talk about telling your story, but only to certain people, like in a certain way. Defying Gravity from Wicked. So those are two very specific, but like when you start, if you're a musical theater nerd like me and you start digging in, the Act One closer is going to be a great way to find a lot of this in those character-driven musicals. Then,
okay, before one note on musical theater before we move on. I want to come in and say that I have definitely gone through the geez, I don't know if I can do this with my kids. I don't know if they're gonna be like into it. And like the nerves I had when I was teaching at my first school, I did an entire unit on the Phantom of the Opera.
How do I not? How have I? How? What?
Oh,
how did I not know this?
I am a Phantom like weirdo. And
well, no, I know you like it, but you've never told me that you used it in class. I feel like I've been lied to for years.
I don't know why we haven't talked about it, but I taught it for years. And every time we started, all the boys groaned when they hear the word musical, right?
Like, I have no idea.
Every time that unit ended, they were edge of seats begging for more. Now, I can only speak truly from the Phantom perspective. Well, a lot of my brooding teenage boys identified with the Phantom.
Of course they do.
I promise you, and even when I've done lessons with Greatest Showman, even like single lessons with musical theater are always a hit, even if you think like kids are going to think it's cheesy. Guess what? Most of the time, kids are really grateful for a break into something a little cheesy. And it's I mean, I don't think it's cheesy. I think it's like dead serious, important. Like this is how we live our lives. But
to quote one of my students in the week before Thanksgiving break, this past Thanksgiving break, I was just playing a Broadway mix because we just needed something a little bit different. And my co-teacher told me I wasn't allowed to play Christmas music yet. So I was like, fine. So I had a Broadway thing, and this kid stands up out of nowhere. Kid, like pretty quiet kid, doesn't really speak up, but like when he does, it's kind of prolific. He goes, this Hamilton slaps.
oh my gosh.
This Hamilton slaps.
I'm just saying, like, don't be, I mean, you can be nervous, but trust us, like, it's worth it. Kids do like it. And if they don't, like, whatever. They probably wouldn't have liked anything that you picked. So
Yeah.
Do
exactly.
it. Do it. And report back. Report back, please.
And please do report back. I have next music albums. Like it can't just be the whole it can be only one song. But if you're looking for the arc of someone's story and someone telling it, it's going to be so much richer to look at a full album, which might be a big ask depending on how much time you've got. But like I said this before also in the Gateway episode, but Taylor Swift, like her or hate her or somewhere in between, that girl can write a song and that girl can tell a story through an album. Like
I wouldn't know.
Has those skills so well honed. Her album Red is a story beginning to end. It's so good. I mean, a lot of her albums are. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I mean, I'm just going to tell you some of my favorite albums that tell a full story. You will not be surprised that they all come from female artists. 21 by Adele is a story. Let's see. What do I have here? Oh, well, this one's probably not appropriate because of the language and content. But Back to Black by Amy Winehouse, even if it's just for you, the educator, like taking a look at some of your own, like flexing your own skills, you know?
But this might be even like choice options, you know, like if
totally,
you know, let kids pick. I'm as you're describing this too, I'm kind of thinking like maybe you treat this almost like you would if you were using a podcast as a supplement, right? Like the first couple of songs. Week 1, the next couple of songs. Week 2, the next couple of songs. The next week, like we done with Dystopia. Remember we talked about doing Limetown, and you kind of do like
and sprinkling it out. Yeah.
So it's like it's almost like a paired unit in that way instead of a supplemental. It's we're doing this novel in verse and this concept album, and we're pairing them together. That's really cool.
Pretty cool too. Cool. And then last but not least, I have Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, good one.
But like even as I say them, I think of more. There's so many.
Yes.
Amazing albums throughout history.
Well, and kids have not probably gone, and I did this one time in Lang. We talked about argumentation, right? What is the art? What is the claim, right, of this story?
Yeah.
And when I did this with Lang kids, so many of them were like, I've never listened to an album from start to finish in order.
Right.
That art has like gone away for them.
It depends. I think it depends on the kids because then now I've got kids that are staying up. It depends on their parents, but kids that were staying up for an album release of, what's the girl? What's her name? She's teeny tiny. Bangs. Hold on. Now I have to look it up. Sabrina Carpenter. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. I don't think I know any of her songs.
You know who Sabrina Carpenter is.
You know, I know what she looks like. I couldn't tell you one of her songs though.
She's teeny tiny. She's got the bangs. I'm telling you. Last but not least, I pulled in some classic literature, the Odyssey, but specifically Book 12 with the sirens. So that piece of the epic poem is long enough that you can get a lot out of it. And the story of the sirens is so good.
It is really good.
Yes. And so that's where I'm going to leave that one. And there's a lot of like different videos and analysis, you know, that you can differentiate that however you need to. But the thing I am the most excited about is using a full music album as text.
I love that. And I think that's so cool. Like even from like, you know, I can't help myself, but like from a skills analytical standpoint to compare and contrast like the goals and objectives of a novel in verse versus an album. Like what really are the differences? Like they're going to be really subtle, I think, which just might help us make the case for reading even more. Shocker.
Woohoo.
Right?
Yeah. No, I love it. So that's what we've got, baby.
I love it. I'm so
I'm
excited to see what we've got for next week, which is all about assessments. I
I know.
love this part.
I do too, because it really does like it's deceptively simple assessing students in this sort of stuff. Like it's seems like, oh my gosh, okay, but you have all of these things, and now how are we even going to know if they've learned? It's so simple, you guys, and we're really
It's so
excited to tell
simple,
you
but
about
it's
it.
also like we're going to give you like that peace of mind of knowing where you're heading
Yes.
so that you have that clear trajectory or like straight through, you know where we're headed, and you can really make the difference between a good unit and a great unit when you've got the assessment really dialed in.
Yeah. So we'll talk about different like types of assessment, really, of both
Yeah, what your
formative.
options are. Mhm.
Yeah, both formative and summative. Yes, if you have already done curriculum rehab with us, you're like, I know where this is going. So come back. We'll see you then. But yeah, that's our supplemental texts for now. As we come up with more ideas, I'm sure we'll share them on Instagram and other places and make sure you're in happy hour and you can get all the goods.
Yeah, feel free to message us too if you're curious about other ideas that you have that you want to just kind of run by us. We'd love to see you over in our DMs. We'd love to see you on Instagram. Just let us know what your thoughts are and if you're actually trying this.
Yeah, let us know.
IRL, tell us about it.
I know, because I think my co-teacher is going to slap me across the face if I keep bringing in new different things. But it's so fun, and we both love it, so she won't. But she will, but then she won't do it as hard as she can. She'll pull back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay. All right, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Have a wonderful week at school, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in Happy Hour and the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here, and have a great week at school.